Okay, erase the creatively enhanced script, ensuring all original facts are preserved while injecting the requested chaotic human creativity the Earth remembers, a vast, geological memory palace filled with echoes of the past. These echoes resonate in the shifting sands of time, the cracked earth of forgotten fields, each fissure a silent scream, and in the ghost towns that whisper tales of vanished civilizations. We often speak of history as a narrative shaped by kings, wars, and treaties, but a more fundamental force, a silent architect of empires and ideologies, has been the relentless dance of drought and famine. These aren't just acts of God, they're rogue choreographers, redrawing maps and rewriting destinies with a merciless hand. Consider the Akkadian Empire, a Mesopotamian powerhouse that flourished over 4,000 years ago, a civilization built on the backs of bountiful harvests. Its dominion stretched across fertile lands, a testament to agricultural innovation and centralized power. But around 2200 BC, the rains faltered, and the land became a parched throat, begging for relief. Archaeological evidence, gleaned from sediment cores and ancient pollen analysis, paints a grim picture: decades of relentless drought. The empire, once a beacon of prosperity, crumbled like a stale biscuit. Sargon of Akkad, the empire's founder, a figure shrouded in both legend and historical record, couldn't withstand the insidious power of a changing climate. The myth of the curse of Akkad speaks of divine wrath, but the reality was far more earthly: depleted harvests, mass migrations, and ultimately, the fragmentation of a once mighty state. What truly separates myth from reality? Is it simply verifiable evidence, or something more elusive? The empire's collapse ushered in a dark age, a period of instability and conflict that reshaped the political landscape of the ancient Near East. Centuries later, across the Atlantic, the Great Famine of Ireland in the mid-19th century stands as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of relying on a single crop. The potato blight, a fungal disease that decimated potato crops across Europe, had a particularly catastrophic impact on Ireland, where the population was heavily dependent on this single food source. Between 1845 and 1849, over 1 million people perished from starvation and disease, while another million were forced to emigrate. This mass exodus dramatically altered the demographic makeup of not only Ireland but also the United States, Canada, and Australia. Irish immigrants, driven from their homeland by hunger, reshaped the cultural and political landscape of their new homes, leaving an indelible mark on the societies they joined. And yet, some argue it was not just the blight but the callous indifference of empire that truly starved a nation. The famine also fueled Irish nationalism, contributing to a long and complex struggle for independence from British rule. The political ramifications of this environmental disaster continue to resonate even today. Turning our gaze to more recent times, the Arab Spring uprisings of 2010-2012, which swept across North Africa and the Middle East, offer a compelling case study of the complex interplay between climate change, food security, and political instability. While the immediate triggers for these revolutions were varied, including political repression and economic inequality, underlying these factors was a growing sense of discontent fueled by rising food prices. Years of drought in key agricultural regions, exacerbated by climate change, had led to crop failures and soaring food costs. This, in turn, fueled social unrest and provided fertile ground for revolutionary movements to take root. The Tunisian Revolution, often considered the spark that ignited the Arab Spring, was partly fueled by protests against rising food prices. While not the sole cause, the link between climate change, food scarcity, and political instability is undeniable. Even revolutions seemingly driven by purely political motives can have roots in environmental pressures. The French Revolution of 1789, a pivotal moment in European history, was fueled by a complex web of factors, including economic inequality, political oppression, and Enlightenment ideals. However, less often discussed is the role of food scarcity. Years of poor harvests, partly due to volcanic eruptions that disrupted weather patterns, had led to widespread hunger and rising bread prices. Bread was a staple food for the French peasantry, and when prices soared, it sparked widespread anger and resentment towards the ruling elite. The storming of the Bastille, a symbolic act of defiance against royal authority, was partly motivated by the desire to seize grain supplies stored within the fortress. The revolution, therefore, was not solely a product of political ideology but also a response to the very basic need for sustenance. Sometimes, all it takes is an empty stomach to light the fuse of revolution. Today, the Sahel region of Africa faces a particularly acute challenge, a slow-motion apocalypse unfolding before our eyes. Decades of drought, desertification, and land degradation have led to chronic food insecurity and widespread poverty. This, in turn, has fueled conflict and instability, as communities compete for scarce resources. The rise of extremist groups in the region has been partly attributed to the desperation and marginalization caused by environmental degradation. The long-term effects of drought on the political stability of the Sahel are profound, threatening to unravel fragile states and exacerbate existing conflicts. The Lake Chad Basin, once a vital source of water for millions, has shrunk dramatically due to climate change and unsustainable water management practices. This has led to increased competition for water and land, fueling tensions between different ethnic groups. The situation in the Sahel serves as a stark warning of the potential for climate change to act as a threat multiplier, exacerbating existing vulnerabilities and leading to further instability. Is human nature inherently predisposed to conflict over resources? The lessons of history are clear: drought and famine are not merely natural disasters, they are powerful forces that can reshape societies, redraw maps, and topple empires. Understanding the complex interplay between environmental change and political stability is crucial for navigating the challenges of the 21st century. As climate change intensifies, the risk of drought and famine will only increase, demanding innovative solutions and a renewed commitment to sustainable resource management. The Earth remembers, and it is our responsibility to learn from its memories, to heed the warnings etched in the landscape, and to build a more resilient and equitable future for all. The fate of civilizations may well depend on it. And hey, race the kicker: if we fail, the Earth will remember that too, with a chillingly indifferent silence.